Hello, my friends. I can still see that you guys are logging in. While you guys get settled, I want to go ahead and get started. We have a lot of fantastic material to cover, but we also want to be respectful of your time because we know how busy you fundraisers really are. So thank you so much for joining us today for the Art of an Unforgettable Thanks. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day to learn how to be a better fundraiser and how to write amazing thank yous that make your donors feel great about giving to you. If you have attended any of Rachel's other webinars, you know how much information you're going to get. And I hope you are super excited about the real life and very practical advice that you're going to get that you can start using today. Before we get started, let me introduce myself. I am Abby Jarvis. I am part of the team over here at QGive, and we're an online fundraising platform that is all about helping nonprofits raise more money, including raising money by keeping your donors coming back to you year after year. I know that several of you, a lot of you actually, are QGive clients, and to you, I say if you have any questions about how to apply any of today's information to your receipts or your thank you pages or other communications, let me know. I can get you in touch with someone from the customer experience team and we can help you figure out the best way to do this. If you're not a QGive client, that's totally fine. Everything we cover here today is going to apply to you as well. And if you do want to talk to us about QGive, that's awesome. If you don't, I totally understand, and I hope you get a ton of information out of this webinar. Just as a housekeeping thing, we are recording this webinar and you'll get an email from me tomorrow covering the recording and some other little goodies that you can use to really knock your donor socks off. Send Rachel a follow on Twitter. She posts amazing stuff all the time. And if you have any questions, you can drop them in the questions box and we'll make sure we answer those. So now that the boring stuff is out of the way, I'm going to turn things over to Rachel, and she is going to give you some absolutely amazing information today. I hope you are ready.
Thank you so much, Abby. I am so thrilled to be with you guys today. And I just want to thank you for joining Abby and I to chat about the art of an unforgettable thanks. You're going to get lots of goodies today, lots of great ideas, lots of inspiration, and oodles of examples and tips to help make all of this easier and scalable and doable for you. My background is in fundraising. I started a nonprofit organization called Girl Start. Yes, that is me with Oprah Winfrey herself. And that other photo is my 12-year-old boy-girl twins. I've spent my whole career in fundraising in the trenches, just like you. And what I do for a living now is train people to be better fundraisers. And I'm going to share a really awesome thank you clinic that I just put together. So if you are joining us today and you want to dig in more and get some help with your thank yous, and this is really the quickest way for you to shore up losses from a donor attrition and the quickest way for you to boost your fundraising revenue and have a lot of fun. So if you watch this day and you want more, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that and how you can get involved in it. What I do is train people to be better at their fundraising. I do a lot of custom trainings. I do a lot of board retreats. I speak at fundraising conferences and do keynotes for National Philanthropy Days. And I love fundraising. I think that we as fundraisers have the best jobs in the whole world because we get to find out how people want to be significant and how they want to make the world a better place. And then we get to help them do just that. I think fundraising is also a great job for hopeless romantics, of which I am one. And that's why this topic is so fun and exciting. And if you don't think an outstanding thank you can boost your revenue, be prepared to have your mind blown today because I'm going to show you that it absolutely really can. So I mentioned that I have a thank you clinic that I just launched today. So if you are feeling frustrated and you're working really hard like a hamster on a wheel, trying to get new donors to cover up your losses, if you're surprised how many of your first-time donors don't make a second gift, if you're wondering why your wealthy donors aren't giving more to your cause, or if you're frustrated that your board members aren't fundraising, then this is a really great opportunity for you. This solves all of those problems and it's a lot of fun. The clinic's all about helping you create rich, rewarding, and lucrative relationships with your donors and helping you be so irresistible that you are their favorite charity. It's loaded with a lot of done for you templates and guides and checklists and scripts and everything else, and includes lots of help to get your board members engaged in fundraising. So that is the link, bit.ly, bit.ly/donor thank you clinic. Bitly is really picky about you using the capitalization. So hopefully you can do that. If it doesn't work, that might be why. But the really neat thing about this donor thank you clinic is it includes an audit that I do of your donor experience. Like I make a donation to your charity and audit and write a report about the entire experience. And also, if you're interested, do a rewrite of your thank you letter into something that your donors would cherish. And there's even an opportunity in there for some live one-on-one coaching with me as well. So if you're tuning in today and upping your game, thanking your donors is something you're passionate about and you want an expert to help and guide you and coach you through it and do a lot of it for you, then it's your lucky day and I'd love to work with you. I just put this together. I've been wanting to do this for a while and I'm really excited to see where it goes. So one of the templates that is people get editable access to and that you can download right now that's in this thank you clinic is this stewardship plan. So the one thing that I want you to notice about the stewardship plan, the one thing I want you to think about for your stewardship plan is this is organized not by the amount of the gift, which is how most stewardship plans are organized. This is structured based on the longevity of the donor. And the goal of that is I want you to roll out the red carpet to your first time donors because I want them to give again to you. Studies show if you can get them to give up to 3 gifts, you've got a 65 to 75% chance that they're going to stick with you in the long haul. And this is the fastest way for you to boost your fundraising revenue is just to keep from hemorrhaging and losing so many donors. You know, nationally, retention rates are hovering at around 43, 45%. First-time donor retention, only like 19% of first-time donors will make a second gift. So these are all incentives for you to, because you spend a lot of time and money going out and getting those new donors, and I want you to be able to keep them. So that's one thing that I want to point out about this stewardship plan. It's one of many goodies. I've got lots more up at rachelmuir.com/guides. I've got a guide on get the visit, nail the ask, ebook on how to survive your board and get your board on board and get your board to engage in fundraising. It's got a sample board contract in it. So there are lots of goodies there. So I'm going to ask you guys a question, and I want to ask you guys to, oh yeah, if the link didn't work, try capitalizing the donor, the D in donor, the T in thank you. It's just capitalizing all that. That's Bitly gets really picky about that, so I apologize. But if it didn't work, capitalize the D in donor, the T in thank, the Y and U, and the C in clinic. I'm really sorry, but that's kind of like one of the frustrating things about Bitly. But I thank you for using the chat, and I wanted to invite you guys to type into the chat. I'm going to ask you a question about your stewardship plan, my fundraising friends. So here is my question for you. A stewardship plan is having established defined business rules on how you're going to thank and acknowledge donors. And that might span even cultivating them a little bit. That's the definition of what a stewardship plan is. So I want you to type into the chat, give me a nope, a kinda, or a yes. A nope is we do not have a stewardship plan. A kinda is, well, we have one, but we aren't really using it. We're not really practicing it. And a yes is, you betcha, we've got one, Rachel. So type into the chat and let me know if you are if you have a stewardship plan. Nope, kinda, or yes. Just type into the chat and let me know if you've got one. If you don't have one, the good news is you've got one now because you can go and download that link. But I'm just curious to get people's pulse on whether or not you have a stewardship plan. So if you see the control box where it says chat, if you want to just type in and let us know if you have a stewardship plan or not. Okay, so I don't see any feedback yet from, and no one has like told me if they have one or not. So I'm guessing most of you
I don't
don't.
think you can see it
Oh, really?
because I'm seeing a lot of answers come in, and we have actually a super solid mix. I
Okay.
see a lot of people who have nothing. I see a lot of people who do have something, and they're saying yes with all caps and lots of exclamation points. And then I
Cool.
have a lot of people who are saying kinda.
Kinda.
So
Okay.
pretty
Awesome.
solid mix here.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I am glad to hear that. And we were chatting earlier. Sometimes um, GoToWebinar is really good about letting the presenters see everything, and sometimes it isn't. But luckily, I have my amazing partner in crime and co-pilot Abby. So I'm excited for you guys if you have one. I'm excited for you guys no matter what, because you're going to get inspired and you're going to get tips. And you know, whether you do or you don't, because some of you may have one and it's maybe collecting dust on the shelf and it isn't being implemented like it could. So the whole point of this is really to know and understand what happens to your donors after they give, so you can give them a really fantastic experience that makes them want to give again. And you might be surprised to learn that 21% of donors in one study say that they were never thanked. And the truth about this is, you may be surprised to learn, or you may not. Those of you who have a stewardship plan are probably not surprised to learn this. But the thank you is the single most important communication that a donor gets. They have a better recall of that than the appeal that generated the gift in the first place. But be honest, my friends, and just tell me, you can type it in the chat and I'll let Abby tell me what people answer with. I'm guessing most of you stress out more about your copy, your fundraising copy and your appeal than you do writing your thank you letter. Most people, when I talk to them and I ask them, what do you spend more time worrying about? And it's the fundraising appeal. It isn't what am I going to write in my thank you note, it's what am I going to write in my fundraising appeal. But the thing to remember is that, what do you think your donors are going to hold on to more, your fundraising appeal or your thank you receipt? They are going to hold on to your thank you receipt. They're going to put it in a folder for doing their taxes later that year. If it's really inspirational and amazing, like many that I've gotten, they're going to put it up on their wall or they're going to put it up on their fridge. I have some that I'm looking at right now at my desk. A really great one from my friend Julie Edwards from the Humane Society of Northeast Georgia. She wrote me the sweetest thank you card for a donation that I made to an amazing dog there named Sunny. But if it's really great, they're going to keep it and they're going to keep it around. And even if it's not great, they are likely still going to keep it because they're going to use it for their taxes. So this is your chance. This is something that they're going to hold on to. It's something they're going to remember. And I am here to help you make it awesome and make it unforgettable. So we're going to be talking about why thanking is king today. We're also going to be talking, I'm going to show you a lot of thank you makeovers, like before and afters. And I mentioned the thank you course. It is loaded with thank you makeovers. I'm going to give you a cheat sheet of what to do and what not to do. And I've got some sample checklists and stewardship plans that I'm going to show you, and some digital tools to help save you time, save you money, and really wow your donors and do it all. I mean, you know, you're busy and I totally get it. And my goal in all of this is to help make this manageable and impactful and scalable and simple for you to do. So, you know, you shouldn't have to like stop everything to write thank you notes. I want to help you make this as easy, as an efficient and as seamless as you can, so that you can still give people the meaning that they're craving and see the impact of it without it taking up all of your time and energy. So this is a quote from my friend Mark Rovner at Sea Change Strategies. Good fundraising is 80% stewardship and 20% asking. So when I ask people, and if I asked you right now, what was the number one reason that people stopped giving? Most people tell me over solicitation. Sometimes people, they don't say it without one word. They say, oh, we asked them too much. Sometimes people say, well, we didn't thank them. So what's over solicitation is indeed the correct answer. But what's interesting about that is how donors define over-solicitation, because they actually define over-solicitation as being asked to give again before they knew that their first gift had an impact. So just like your shampoo bottle says lather, rinse, repeat, your goal is to ask and then to thank them and then to report back. And reporting back means communicating how their gift made a difference, how their gift was meaningful, what their gift accomplished. And I've got lots of examples to help you do that. And we're going to, I'm going to show you a lot of those in just a minute. I want to give you guys some quick tips, just some thank you do's and don'ts, some checklists to help you be successful, and some inspirational ideas to get you jazzed up about stewardship. So here's some do's. It needs to be prompt. It needs to be sincere and heartfelt. It should sound like a human being wrote it, not a robot. Of course, it needs to be accurate. I'm a fan of including the gift amount on there. So if they thought they gave more or anything else, they can contact you and let you know. But of course, it needs to have their correct first name, last name, everything else. You want it to be personable. You want it to be conversational. I mentioned you want it to sound like a human being actually wrote it. You want to share an impact story, and you want to share just a couple sentences to let them know what their gift did. And I recommend sharing the story of one person. And you may serve 1,000,000 people, or you may serve 500,000 people. That is a lot of people for your donor to wrap their head around. And the truth is, psychic numbing starts at any number greater than 1. So if you're talking too much about lots of numbers of people, it's not going to be as impactful for your donors as just sharing the story of a simple story about what their gift did around one person. 6th grade reading level, we want to make this easy for them to read, easy for them to understand. We don't need to make them go to medical school or get a PhD to be able to understand how their gift made a difference. An email autoresponder tells me that you got my gift, but it doesn't tell me how my gift made a difference. So I'm not against you using an email autoresponder. It's a really great way to let someone know that you got the gift and thank them for the gift. But I'm a fan of you doing something else, whether it's an email stewardship series or a thank you letter that lets them know what their gift accomplished, because it's that feeling of accomplishment that my gift truly makes a difference, that makes me feel excited and committed and want to give you more. Another tip that I have for you is to remove the middleman, meaning, if I say, thank you for your gift, thanks to your $50 gift, the Humane Society of Northeast Georgia was able to buy 5,000 pounds of dog food, and we were able to feed 10,000 animals. That's nice, and you've definitely told me that my gift was impactful, but it would be really impactful if you just told me you just saved, Scruffy's life today, or you just gave Scruffy a warm meal and a happy forever home. Like, we don't need to take it from the donor to the organization to the client. Just move straight from the donor's gift, boom, to the client and what that gift made possible. I'm a big fan of setting a daily, weekly stewardship power hour, so that every week for 1 hour, you pick up the phone and call donors and thank donors and tell them personal stories about how their gift made an impact. And I really do believe that if you just put this on your calendar, even if you do it for 15 minutes, or even if you only do it for 30 minutes, you will get farther than if you don't actually schedule it to make it happen. And another tip that I have for you is, be willing to be inventive with your storytelling. Really, most thank yous are really boring, and they start with the same sentence. On behalf of the board and the staff and everyone here at the Ann Richards School for Young Women Leaders, we thank you. That's completely forgettable. Start in the middle of action. The screams and squeals from the girls in 6th grade at the Ann Richards School when they found out, thanks to your generous gift, that they were going to get to tour the nation's capital were positively deafening. My ears are still ringing. So I started in the middle of the action. I used some descriptive details about the girls screaming and cheering because they were going to go on a class trip. And I made it real and it made it personable. You can use inanimate objects, you can use photos, you can use visuals, you can use unexpected narrators. You know, if you're a Boys and Girls Club, you might use a basketball in the gym. If you're the Girl Scouts, it might be the story of a tent, or, you know, or it could be the story of a badge, or it could be the story of, you know, a sash, and, you know, a girl moving from being a junior to being a cadet. There's so many different things in your wheelhouse that you could use to tell your story. So I'm about to show you guys my don'ts. These are my don'ts. Do not start with a thank you because everyone else is doing that, and I want to help you stand out. Don't be predictable. You know, there are literally like millions of nonprofit organizations, and they chose you. This is a time to rejoice. Do not ask for another gift in your thank you letter. Your thank you letter has one goal: to delight and to make these donors feel amazing and fantastic about their gift. Don't ask for another gift in the thank you letter. Don't ask for another gift in your email autoresponder. Don't ask for another gift in your email thank you. It's tacky, and I don't want you to do it. Do not continue to sell. You know, asking for another gift is continuing to sell. They made the gift. Let's make them feel awesome. Change out your copy. Don't use the same exact thank you copy for an entire year, because if you have donors that give multiple gifts, they're going to get that same thank you letter. And don't fail at personalization, and don't send them a dear friend. They're your friend, but you know, if Rachel Muir just gave a gift, address it to Rachel Muir. You know who the donor is. Don't fail at personalization. I also don't want you to overthink this like a kid stuck at the top of a slide, okay? Because, you know, you could say like, "Oh no, we can't do this yet. You know, we don't have our peer-to-peer fundraising tools up yet." Or you could start to hem and haw and debate about, you know, well, should I thank the donor, or should the development director thank the donor, or should the board member thank the donor, or should we thank them with a phone call, or should we thank them with an email, or should we thank them with a card, or should we thank them with a text message? Just thank them. Like, pick it and do it and test it and look at this. You can look at this overall, and I'm going to show you some results from some organizations who studied this. This is worth studying. Anything worth doing is worth studying. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Get your thank you out the door so that you can have those donors feel fantastic. So I'm going to share with you guys some random things that you can do to really make your donors feel fantastic. So these are some random acts of thankfulness that I want to give you as some ideas that you can use with your donors. You can have board members make thank you calls at your board meetings. This is a great way to get your board members excited about philanthropy and feel empowered about their role as a board member, because what happens when they call and thank a donor? A donor is really excited. A donor feels really great. It's special to be appreciated by a volunteer. Your donors are smart, and they know that you're a paid staff member. So to be thanked by a volunteer who's taking time out of their day just to thank donors, it's really special. And when that donor tells your board member, "Oh my gosh, wow, thank you for calling me," then your board member feels really great, and they feel like, I don't have to be afraid of donors. They're amazing, really nice people. I'm also a fan of two unsung holidays that you can use to thank your donors: Thanksgiving and Valentine's Day. Thanksgiving and Valentine's Day are really great holidays that they're not expecting to get a stewardship piece from you. Thanksgiving is especially awesome, my fundraising friends, because it really helps tee up a successful end of year ask for you. And I've got some examples in here of doing stewardship and just how much stewardship really does help with those gifts. So think of Thanksgiving as and doing a Thanksgiving card or Thanksgiving email stewardship series as a really integral part of your end of year campaign. Believe it or not, right before this webinar, I was planning out a webinar series on end of year giving. I know it's not even July yet, but it's almost time for Christmas in July, and the early bird gets the worm. But my tip for you right now is think about integrating Thanksgiving and celebrating Thanksgiving. That's a really important way to thank your donors. In this spirit of this season, I'm reflecting on all I have to be thankful for, and you are top of mind. Now, the Donorversary is the biggest unsung holiday in fundraising. Hardly anyone celebrates this. My friend Julie Edwards at the Humane Society of Northeast Georgia does, and I got so excited. I had her send me her piece, and then I asked her if I could redo her piece, because since it's a Donorversary, and this is a Humane Society, I wanted the card to be a dog and a cat getting married because it's an anniversary. It's more than just a thank you. So she's the only person I know that's celebrating this. This is an unsung holiday. Your donor has forgotten when they made their first gift to you. But if you have good records, you know when they made their first gift to you, and it is a great opportunity for you to wow. It's simple. You could set it as an email. You don't have to get the exact day right. You don't even have to get the month right. If you have a general idea, you'll be fine. But the beauty of this is that whether they gave their first gift to you a year ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago, that reminder and that thank you to them, that reminds them that you are indeed one of their top philanthropic priorities, and it reminds them of how loyal they've been to you. And we as humans, we like being consistent. We don't like cognitive dissonance. So it is a great way to ensure another gift. Another way to ensure another gift is to pick up that thing collecting dust on your desk, that phone. First-time donors, this is a quote from Tom Ahern. First-time donors who get a personal thank you within 48 hours are 4 times more likely to give again. 4x, 4x. If you call and thank first-time donors within 48 hours, those people are 4 times more likely to give again. Who doesn't want to have their donors, with the wave of your magic wand, which is really your beautiful voice over the phone, who doesn't want their donors to give 4 times and increase their likelihood of giving 4 times? I know I do. So I totally encourage you to pick up the phone and call and thank those donors. So I want to share with you a stewardship test. This is a stewardship test that was done by Food for the Poor. And so I mentioned the importance of testing. I can't stress this enough to you, because you could read a study for one organization and you might think that applies to every organization, but it's worth studying for your own organization so that you can see what impact does this really have. What impact does doing celebrating the Donorversary, if I did this for 1 year, what impact would it have on my donors? Study it and then come tell me so I can brag about you. So they had 50,000 donors, and they did an extra thank you, just a thank you, simple expression of gratitude for the past generosity. There was no ask in it. There was no reply device and a business reply envelope included. It was just an extra thank you. So half the donors got the extra thank you, half of the donors did not get the extra thank you. And I know you're going, okay, what happened? Give me the goods, Rachel. What happened? So 12 months later, Both groups received the same number of gifts, but the group that got the extra thank you, group A, they received a total of 450,000 more that year. So that is an example. That was food for the poor. It was 50,000 donors. Gifts were the same number of gifts, but the gifts for those who got the double the stewardship, got the extra thank you, those donors gave a total of almost $50,000 more that year. So so there's some proof in the pudding there. So I'm going to show you guys some examples, and I'm going to show you some makeovers as well. So I mentioned this to you when we just started. I've got a stewardship plan that you can download at rachelmuir.com/stewardship. I showed this to you earlier, and I mentioned that this has, it's organized by the gift. Did they make, is it a first time gift? Is it a second time gift? I encourage you to download that. And I'm going to show you some examples right now. So I love this example, and I want you to steal this, which is why it says steal this up here at the top. You made your gift just 1 week ago, or 1 month ago, or 1 year ago, and already you've blank. So notice the you've blank. You, and then insert some amazing accomplishment. It isn't you made your gift a year ago and already the Girl Scouts have blah, 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 blah. That would be a very organizational centric thank you. You want to give the donor the credit. This is a good example of removing the middleman and making the donor the hero. So whatever it is, again, this is kind of similar to the donorversary, where you really can't go wrong with this example because you're reminding the donor, if they just gave to you, they're going to feel like, wow, I only gave 6 months ago and already this awesome stuff happened. Or if they gave to you several years ago, they feel like, wow, I've been giving to them for 3 years. Not only has a lot happened and they achieved really great stuff with my giving, but this is a really great organization. I've been giving to them over 3 years. I've been really loyal to them. I'm going to stay loyal. So I'm going to show you some before and after makeovers. And the first makeover that I have is an example from Diabetes Youth Services. So this is like a standard. I was doing a webinar a while back, and I asked people to submit their materials. So in my class, in my thank you clinic, I'm doing rewrites for people. And this was a rewrite that I did for just on a webinar for an organization. So the letter here is, a new family was just in the office. After being overwhelmed with information from doctors and nurses in the hospital, they found Diabetes Youth Services. This family, like so many others, was so grateful to find a place they could turn to for help. Okay, I don't have any descriptive details about this family. I don't know, is this a single mom working 2 jobs? Like, I don't really know anything about it just says a new family, like there's no descriptive details. And it's those descriptive details that bring me into this story and that make me buy into this story. So tell the family's story and their hopes for their child, and take them on an emotional journey. Don't be afraid to use emotion in your storytelling. It is the only thing that works. So maybe it is the doctor took us into a private room. I knew it was the kind of place they take you to give you bad news. Take yourself out as a middleman. I've mentioned this before, and make them the hero. You are my little girl's best hope of growing up healthy. I'm also a fan of ending with exactly how they're going to hear from you, when they're going to hear from you next, and what that's going to look like. For example, we'll update you on all the ways your contribution is working via our newsletter. Until then, please call me with any questions, and include your name, include your phone number, include your business card. Always make it easy for them to contact you, and don't be afraid of them contacting you. You want to be the easiest person that your donors can find. If I have, I have some pet peeves, but one of my biggest pet peeves is when people don't have their phone number in their email signature file. That drives me bonkers. And I'm horrified when it's someone in marketing or sales or fundraising, because you need to be the person that's really, really easy to contact. So moving right along with more examples here, I have an example from an animal care organization. And it's just really like plain language that isn't emotional. People like you who share a passion and belief in caring for animals make our work possible. We don't receive any money from taxpayer funds or government sources. We rely on generosity of donors like you. The funds will go to provide outstanding veterinary care. Okay, it's just like you could be telling me a story, but you're not. It's just not, it's not emotional at all. And this is the time to be emotional. So this is a rewrite of that thank you letter. And this is the first line of this is what I want you to steal. And this is, then think of this as your opener for any letter that you are writing to a first time donor. I am overjoyed to see such a generous first-time gift from you, and I'm honored to welcome you into our donor family. Again, I'm going to repeat that again because I really want you to get that. I am overjoyed to see such a generous first-time gift from you, and I am honored to welcome you into our donor family. Please steal that, use that. Call out first-time donors as such. They should feel so excited and like great things are going to happen now. I'm part of a family. You're excited I'm here. I'm excited I'm here. Um, and then it has this hilarious story about Mr. Pickles. I made this all up. He's a terrier pit bull mix, so I've given you some descriptive detail about the dog. And you look at, and then I'm throwing this owner some love. I'm throwing this owner a compliment. You know that no dog, John, you know that no dog is beyond hope. When we looked at Mr. Pickles, we knew he was an amazing dog. Even in pain, he took treats from our staff and wagged his tail. Today he's receiving daily obedience training classes and spending time snuggling with our development staff in between meetings. Like, doesn't that sound fun? Thank you on behalf of Mr. Pickles and all the dogs we serve for believing in second chances. We couldn't do this without you. Please call me if you want to stop by the shelter and meet Mr. Pickles or one of our other amazing dogs or cats and see your donation at work. So this is just a rewrite. Make your first-time donors feel the love, feel the excitement, call them out as first-time donors. The greatest gift that we can give our donors is the gift of being known by us. And when you call them out as such, you're giving them that gift. So I'm going to show you some examples from my Hall of Fame. I believe I also have my Hall of Shame in here too. I do. Okay, so this is my first example. This is a great donor-centric subject line. Look at that subject line. Thanks to you, our girls are visiting colleges today. This could have said, see our girls visit colleges today, or watch our girls visit colleges today, but it didn't. It says, thanks to you, our girls are visiting colleges today. Awesome donor-centric email subject line. Use donor-centric email subject lines. This is such a great example of a very, very, very inexpensive way to say thank you. This is a photograph, and the organization has written a thank you card on the back of a photograph. It costs like 2 cents to go get a photo made and mail it in the mail. And this is an organization, it's an arts organization. They were doing a project with city pools, and it's a photo of all these kids jumping into the swimming pool, and they're dabbing as they jump into the swimming pool. And on the back, it says, thank you for always jumping in with forklift. So fun, it reminds me of summer. I put it up right away on my desk. They also sent me a really nice thank you card from a board member, which was really nice. So just a photo that costs like 2 cents. Easy to do, and a really great way for you to stand out. So if you're doing monthly giving, it's worth thinking about, what is my copy in my autoresponder when their monthly receipt goes by. And this is one that I want to especially call out for organizations that are, like maybe your Girls on the Run. Girls on the Run is serving thousands and thousands of girls, and it's a great organization. It's empowering them in running, but there's so many things that lead to empowering someone in their life. So I love this opening statement. You just did a great thing. You are helping girls be bold and brave. So if you have an organization that is doing, doing something, and you're, how do I make this one thing sound meaningful and significant? A great line like that, you just did a great thing. You are helping girls be bold and brave. That could be something really great, for example, for Girls on the Run. So I promised you that I also have my Hall of Shame out here. So I've got a couple examples of my Hall of Shame, and then I'm going to show you some digital tools, and we will jump right into questions. So this is an example of an email receipt that asks for another donation. It says, your donation was successfully recorded, blah, blah, blah. See your confirmation number in case you need to contact us. Really, really boring. It doesn't, well, the first two words are thank you so much for your generous contribution. But it doesn't tell me anything really meaningful, but it does say in a big red button at the bottom, make another donation. And there's a link in the email receipt for me to make another gift. Please don't do that. Now, I'm going to tell you a story from Cook Children's Hospital. So my friend Lynn Wester from the Donor Guru, amazing human being, was doing some work with Cook Children's Hospital, and this is how I heard this story. I was doing an end-of-year webinar with Lynn a couple years ago, and she told a story about Cook Children's Hospital, which one day received a donation for in the mail, and it had $3 bills and 17 cents in the envelope. And they wrote the donor back. His name was Max. Thanked them for their gifts. They sent an acknowledgement. They sent a thank you letter, as they do for all donations. And about 3 or 4 weeks later, they received a letter from Max's mom. So they saw his $3.17 in an envelope that said, thanks, this is to help the other kids. They just thought it was a sweet kid who might be emptying out their piggy bank. And they thanked the donor just like they would thank any donor. So about 3 or 4 weeks later, they got a letter from Max's mom. And Max's mom told Cook Children's Hospital that Max had donated to 20 different children's charities. And theirs was the only charity that wrote Max back and thanked him for his gift. And do you know what the mom included with her card? She included a check for $100,000. So all those 19 other children's charities missed the boat. They missed the opportunity. And the sad part of this is that fundraisers rely too heavily on gift value as a determinant of future potential. Cook Children's Hospital didn't. If you follow the stewardship plan that I gave you, you won't either. You'll roll out the red carpet to first-time donors. If you acknowledge first-time donors and appreciate them and make them feel like their gift made a difference, they will reward you with additional gifts. So I'm sorry, Pierre, it seems to be just like a tad bit of lag time between my slides. But sorry about that. But the slide that I have up is the worst stewardship plan that's ever written. So I guess in a way it's good that you can't see it, because I certainly don't want you to emulate it. I want you to emulate the one that I gave you. But it's basically a stewardship plan that's a classic example of not recognizing donors or appreciating donors or thanking donors or communicating with donors unless they reward you with a really large gift. The stewardship plan that I'm showing doesn't give a donor a phone call from a president or a board member unless the donor makes a $50,000 gift, a $50,000 gift. And it will list you in the annual report if you give $500, but it won't send you the annual report unless you give $1,000. This kind of a stewardship plan is a good strategy for just literally going out of business. So again, my advice to you is to structure your stewardship not around gift amount, but around the longevity of the donor, and be willing to roll out the red carpet to new donors so that you can inspire them to give again. So I'm going to give you guys some really good tools that you can use, some digital tools that you can use to help you with your fundraising. And I want to invite you, please, to type in any questions that you have, and Abby will read me questions here at the end. So again, I apologize because it appears that there is just a teeny bit of a lag here. I have a slide up that has a photo of a live video from my friends at Mobile Loaves and Fishes. And the URL is tinyurl.com/KLM thanks, all caps. I'll let Abby pop that into the chat in case people want to click on that and watch it. But or you can look them up on YouTube. It's Mobile Loaves and Fishes, and they're a ministry organization. Oh, great! It looks like the slides just caught up. It's a ministry you're seeing the worst stewardship plan ever. But Mobile Loaves and Fishes is a ministry, and they go out and give homeless people food and toiletries and clothing. And their executive director does an amazing job of just talking to people out in the field and then reporting back to the donors and sharing those stories immediately. And in this video, he is out there giving them, it's a really cold day, and he's out there giving them blankets, and he says, hey, what do you say to our donors out there that donated and made all these blankets possible? And it's like two homeless guys just saying, oh man, you don't know what this means to me. I mean, I was cold, I was freezing, I'm out here in a tent, but now thanks to you, I've got these blankets and I'm gonna be warm, and you're amazing, and I love you, man, I just love you. And he's looking into, he shot this on a smartphone, and the homeless guy's looking into the smartphone, and he's like got tears in his eyes, and it's beautiful, and it's heartfelt, and it's meaningful, and it took like 30 seconds. This doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to go professionally produce something in a studio. Heartfelt is really great, and it really works with your donors as well. Digital printing is really inexpensive. You can get cards made very, very inexpensively. I'm a big fan of using scale and efficiency when you're doing these thank yous for your donors. At Girl Start, we had cards made. We did thank you cards, of course. We did Valentine's Day. We did Thanksgiving, but we would have cards made. We would have the students write our thank yous, and then we would just sign them. So, you can have your cards ready to go, and all you have to do is sign it and address it and pop it in the mail. We would have like 50 to 100 ready to go. We would be stocked up and ready to go during busy times of the year, like end of year. Another great tool that you can use is video email. BombBomb.com is a really great tool. And what's nice about video email is you get notified when people look at your video. You can see all this. The slides are uploaded as a handout, so you can, if you are, and I apologize, there's a delay here with the slides progressing, but you can see that in your handout as well. And I've also got one last digital tool that I'll mention to you, and then we will go straight to questions. And that is the Felt app. It's feltapp.com. It is an app for the iPhone or for the iPad, and it allows you to upload your photos. It'll access your photo stream from your phone or from Facebook or Instagram, or your camera roll, and you can instantly send cards to your donors. So if you took some donors for the stewardship plan, you can download at Rachel Muir, www.rachelmuir.com/stewardship. But you can go to the feltapp.com. You can use your iPhone, you can use an iPad. It's a really neat tool, but if say you're giving your donors like a tour, a hard hat tour, you could instantly send them a thank you card with a photo of them taking the tour, which is a really, really nice touch. You can also have them personalize stationery for you, which is a really nice touch. I like stationery, so I'm kind of into that. But that is the feltapp.com. And if you open up the handouts, you'll see some examples of that and what that looks like. So I'm going to open it up for questions for everybody. So please feel free to type in your questions, and I'll let Abby kind of kick things off by reading any questions that we've gotten so far.
We have got some really great questions, and one that has come up most frequently is around people who give online. So a few people have asked, when a donor gives online, is it okay to do just an email follow-up? Do you suggest doing an email follow-up and a handwritten letter? How do you navigate that process?
Sure, that's a really good question. So I would so you can start with an email acknowledgement quickly, but the sky is really the limit. If you have you c- if you follow what I've described and you can gain scale and efficiency, you can send them an email acknowledgement. I would send them a thank you letter and let them know how their gift made a difference. Like the email acknowledgement tells me you got it, but the thank you letter tells me why it was meaningful. Um, you know, True confession, I made a donation yesterday to an organization because my friend had made a donation to this organization, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, I made a donation." And right away, they texted me and thanked me, and they sent me some awesome photos of my donation at work. And I was like, I want to get photos of my donation at work. I'll show them off in my webinar. And I didn't get any texts from them. So I don't
Oh,
know if yeah, I know I was kind of disappointed. But so like you know go for it. I say go for it. You can also do things where you ask your donors their preferences, but the thing about asking your donors preferences, and I'm a big fan of donor surveys, and we've had some fun doing webinars about that. um, the thing about asking donors their preferences is you kind of have to prove the value of your communications before they can make an educated decision about how they want to consume content for you. If you send them a text thank you and they never want to get a text thank you from you, it's going to have information in there for them to be able to opt out. So it's okay. Um, but I would at least send an email acknowledgement, and I would try to send a thank you letter as well. And if you prepare for this ahead of time and you have thank you letters written, you could get like at Girl Start, we would change out our copy every month, but we had all these thank you letters ready to go. We had thank you letters from girls, we had thank you letters from parents, we had thank you letters from volunteers, and they were ready to go. And they were just, all we had to do was address them and mail them. They were ready to go. It doesn't have to be something that stops what you're doing. It doesn't have to be like that.
that is really interesting because you actually answered a question that someone had asked about how frequently you suggest changing up the language in your thank yous, and it's a really cool idea to have multiple thank yous ready to go from different people, so you can just kind of get them out and go.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned that you had thank you letters from a number of different groups of people or types of people. And
Hmm.
that kind of segues into a question we got about who should be writing the thank you letters. One person wanted to know if it should always be the CEO, and then another, Sarah, had an issue with the CEO. She said she just recently updated her thank you letters. The CEO said that it wasn't his voice, and
Hmm.
she's having a problem because it's not his voice, but the thank you letter is cheerful and playful and it's donor centric. So how can you walk the line between having a really great thank you and then maybe appeasing people like your CEO or your development director?
Well, I've never met a donor who was overthanked and was upset because they were overthanked. So I would say, Sarah, you be Sarah and you go be your awesome self and you go thank that donor because you need to have a relationship with that donor. And I'm guessing Sarah is the development director or the vice president of philanthropy, and her CEO is the CEO. And let the CEO write a thank you letter too. Like you can't thank someone too much. Be feeling acknowledged and appreciated is like a timeless piece of music or your favorite song that you like to jam to. Like, I mean, have you ever like gotten tired of feeling appreciated or acknowledged? I mean, I haven't. It makes me feel really
Literally never.
awesome. Literally never. So, so I say go for it, Sarah. Like, they're not going to quit giving because they felt, oh, I got a thank you letter from Sarah and the CEO. Can you believe those people over there? This is the time to rejoice. This is the time for them to feel like, wow, this is like the more awesome you make them feel, the more they're going to want to give again. You really can't go wrong. So I say you do you, you be yourself. I have a certain tone, like Abby and I have a certain like bubbly, effervescent, fun, playful tone. So we totally get it. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I say you thank them and you be yourself and let your CEO do it his way. I mean, the important thing is that the donor feel appreciated. And sometimes it's hard when you're relying on other people to do it because that's why when it comes to board meetings, I like making board members do thank you calls at the meeting and like taking like a 5-minute thankathon break because I want them to do it then and not do it later. Because if they do it later, it's like I have to, did they really do it? Did that really happen? And then I have to spend a bunch of time emailing them and asking, and I'd rather just know that it happened. I'm kind of a control freak that way.
And I'm just going to throw this in there. I am a nonprofit board member, and I will do the calls at the meeting, but if you ask me to do it after the meeting, I'm going to forget. So
Hmm.
just
Yeah, you're
at the
busy.
meeting is great.
I like giving board members too, like a script that sounds like a human wrote it, not a robot. And, and that's an important thing too. Like, I bet Sarah's out there writing some really awesome language and she mentioned how it was fun and it was playful. I got a phone call one time from an organization and they had one of their students call to thank me for a gift. And it was
Hmm.
a young person. It was like a teenager, but the script was a script that like a stodgy, like introverted adult would write. It sounded like a robot wrote it, and it was like this isn't jive. Like a high school kid should be able to talk. They need to use their voice, and like it sounds like you're. I respect your CEO wanting to use his voice. You know, uh, hopefully you can help him or he can find within his voice something that is emotional that connects with that donor. But I would say whatever it is, like let that person who's thanking them use be authentic.
Totally. And Sarah, I got a really great tip from another person who was attending the webinar named Amanda. She kind of navigated a similar situation by not having the thank you letter come from a person at all. They had their happy, sassy text come from one of the rescue animals, and it was signed with a footprint from the animal. And then the CEO or the ED actually wrote their own little note and signed that instead. So you might be able to kind of walk the line by making the thank you letter come from someone else and then asking the CEO to maybe do a postscript or something. So they're represented in their own voice, but you also get the fun stuff. I had a question. Let me find it. So Nina's in a situation where she manages several different kinds of programs at her nonprofit. They focus on advocacy and research and clinical care and a bunch of other stuff. And she wanted to know if you're trying to be specific in your thank you, how you focus on one mission, or do you try to focus on the overarching mission of an organization? How specific can you get?
So I would say in your thank you, you want to speak to the donor's gift. So if your solicitation was all around, like, let's give Girl Start as an example. If Girl Start did a whole Send a Girl to Camp campaign, and so all their gifts that are coming in the late spring and the early summer are all about scholarships to send girls to summer camp, they're going to talk about like those girls and those stories in their thank you letter. So I would like your thank you letter is tied to what it is the appeal, like what was the appeal and what were you raising money for. When you do this kitchen sink strategy of thanking donors where it's like I gave you $25 to the allergy and asthma association, the food allergy association, and I get this email back that says like, or this letter back that says like, your $25 is going towards advocacy and patient care and finding a cure and education. And when you list like 7 things, and I'm like, really? It was like only like $25, like like I would say like all of those things are really forgettable. I'm not going to remember the 5 things. Ideally it's one story. It's the story that any parent with a kid with food allergies can relate to. One day Alana was bouncing around through the grocery store putting Rice Krispies in the cart. The next minute she ate a food sample and she was passed out in her mother's arms covered in hives. Thanks to you and your generous gift, Alana is getting the care that she needs so that we can help kids with food allergies. Like, wow, okay, that's a real story. Like, you took me to the action. I understood that something, I can relate to that story because it was a vivid and it was descriptive, and I get it. That means more to me than the kitchen sink of I'm gonna fund advocacy and this and that and that. Like your 10-point plan, but donors don't know your 10-point plan and they're not gonna remember your 10-point plan. So make it descriptive and real, and I would just connect it back to the appeal of what they donated to. Are you still there, Abby? Did you go mute?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, I can. Yes, you're back.
I think I think I muted myself with my own ear, so that's pretty cool. That comment about really relating what inspired your donors to give to the thank you letter brings up a really interesting question that came from Sophia. So Sophia asked how nonprofits can handle Facebook donations, because very often with Facebook, you're only given the name and the amount that a donor gives, and you don't really have a lot of insight into what inspired them to give. You don't have a lot of information about the donor themselves. How do you thank donors very specifically or tell them a great story when you don't know what really spurred them to begin with?
Did she say this is gifts from Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can, well, Facebook donors have to opt into giving you their contact information in a face on like Facebook's giving forms, but you do have the ease and the convenience when a donor is donating through Facebook. But you can have that instead of allowing them to check out and donate to you on Facebook, you can have them be sent to your donation page. So that is one way that you can avoid that, and you can know who this donor is that's making a donation. So there's that, but yes, right now they have to choose to opt in. So it's going to require that you know why they're giving. So I would say if this is important to you and you feel like you're missing out on relationships, then what I would do is have your Facebook campaigns go to your donation page and ask a question after they've made their gift. After they've made their gift, this is one of the things that's in the course content for the donor thank you clinic. The landing page after they make the gift. Nope, they've already made the gift. This is the after they made the gift. They're at the thank you landing page. Pop in a question that says, what inspired you to make your gift today? And let them tell you what it is. If your donor wrote you a check and I put a post-it note on it and I told you what inspired me to make my gift that day, you'd be super excited to know that. And you can easily add that on your donor thank you landing page as a question. So I would do that. And that way you can find out what inspired their gift. But it's going to really require that you understand like what campaigns you're doing on Facebook, and linking those to the donors. You should ideally be on top of that enough with your social media presence that you know and have relationships with those donors, and you've added those donors as friends, and they've liked your page, and you're even sending them a photo back. Like I mentioned the donation I made to Sunny the dog through my friend Julie's organization. She sent me an adorable, she posted a photo on my Facebook page with Sunny, a photo of Sunny the dog, and it said, "I love you, Rachel," or I woof you, Rachel," or something adorable like that, because she's totally mastered dog language. And it's so cute. But that really warmed my heart. That was really, really, really sweet. So I would say it sounds like there's a gap between your like interaction or management or intimacy level with your activity on social media. But you can always, there's the other solution of using your donation page and asking them on the donor landing page what inspired their gift today can help you get over that.
That is absolutely fantastic advice. We have a couple more questions, but I know it's getting late, so I'm just going to ask one more. And if we don't get a chance to get to your question, please feel free to tweet at me or at Rachel. I'm at QGive. Rachel is at Rachel Muir, and we will try to answer your questions. The last one I think is pretty interesting. We wanted to know, is there a difference in the way you thank and show impact to donors who give differently? So online, or people who donate silent auction items, or people who give sponsorship. How do you differentiate between the different thank you styles?
I would say you don't need to overthink it to that level. I mean, like I would just make it as personal and meaningful as you can. Make them feel like they really made a difference. You mentioned corporations, you mentioned someone donating online. Obviously, a corporation, their goals around giving are totally related to what their goals are as a company. Their goals around giving are likely impacted by, do their employees volunteer? Do their employees support the charity? Are their employees personally involved or affected by the charity? So those are all things, like it isn't necessarily your thank you, like what you said in the thank you, so much as those things are going to influence your continued support by corporations. So, but I feel like you don't have to overthink it. Like you want, I mean, if I gave to support, like I mentioned the gift I just made to Sunny the dog, who has a fatal case of cancer, and it was Sunny's big day out, and she was going to go to Starbucks and get a puppuccino, and she was going to put on a doggy life jacket and go on this boat tour, and she just delivered puppies, and like she deserves a day out. She's a really good mom. So like Julie's going to tell me Sunny had a great day out. Here's what happened, because I gave to that campaign. So if I mean, if someone gave to something specific that they're really passionate about, or they were invited to give something specific, let them know about it. But in general, your thank you is going to be around the appeal and the theme. Every one of your campaigns has a theme. Your end of year campaign, your capital campaign. So you want to communicate the success around whatever you are fundraising for. I hope that
I love
helps.
it.
Okay.
I think it does. And I will say, even though corporations are the ones giving sponsorships and silent auction items, a lot of times it's specific people in the corporation that are doing that. So they love stories too, and they love hearing their impact too. Rachel, you answered so many questions, and you gave us so much food for thought, and we have so many new tools. Thank you for doing that with us. Everyone, I will send you a follow-up email tomorrow. It will include a link to the recorded webinar. I'll include links for all the resources Rachel mentioned in her presentations. If you missed something, you'll get it tomorrow. I'll also make sure to send you a couple other resources that will help you put together really wonderful thank yous. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow. I hope everyone has a wonderful Thursday. You are so close to the weekend. You can do it. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to y'all next time. Bye.